Welcome to Garage Gym Athlete Ask Me Anything. It's pretty simple. I'll be answering questions from the thousands of athletes that follow our daily programming. If you have a question or topic you want submitted, go to garagegymathlete.com/AMA. Let's get started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Hey, man.
How's life?
Great.
Don't go into too much detail, right?
I know. I can say a little bit, but like it's gonna be old. So like, yay, it's good. I'm sore. I've worked out. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So we're getting into Ask Me Anything. This week is from Trampus on water quality. He says, how much stock, if any, do you put into the type/quality of the water you drink? I want to ask you, Joe, do you care about what type of water you drink or the quality of a water you drink?
So it's actually pretty cool timing, pretty great timing now because I just moved to a place where the water is not potable. So we can't drink the actual running water. We have to have bottled water for everything. So like a couple of times a week, we either have to walk to the store to get packs of liters of water. So it's basically like rucking and getting water. Or where we're going to be moving to, we're going to get the big 5-gallon jugs, which actually I posted a video or two of me doing workouts with the 5-gallon jugs when we were locked in on our quarantine. So that's a big change to have to use bottled water for everything, like in coffee and soups or anything like that. It's pretty different, but everything else is fine. And then I also recently watched the Netflix show, the Zac Efron one about water. It's like he has a new show about called Down to Earth, and one of them took place in France, and they did a whole thing about water. And it was pretty interesting to me. I know you're big about Berkey, but we have started. So besides bottled water, we are becoming Pellegrino people, which is mineral water. And I've just read a few things about how mineral water is really, really good for you, and just the bubbly is kind of nice. But yeah, I do like to have pretty good quality water, even though we used to do the Brita filter ones. I haven't done too much research into the best kind of water, or like even what filters would do for the tap water that you have. Like, yeah, it's going to filter out stuff, but things might be filtered out so much that you're still missing things. That's why I turned a little bit to mineral water, but you might know a little bit more because I know you're all about the Berkey.
I'm all about all sorts of things. So tell me a little bit more about if you have any other points on the Down to Earth, what were they saying about the water in France?
Can't remember all of the things that they went over, but the way they treated it and how they processed the water, they didn't do it like introducing chemical wise. They did it through certain different levels of filtration, and then they have it through this UV tank, and then it gets pushed out to like the masses. And this is like high quality water that they have in like water fountains throughout the city, and they even have like sparkling water fountains everywhere where you can just fill up your bottles. And they have these vending machines where you just buy an empty water bottle and then you fill it up wherever you're at, because they have water fountains everywhere. And just how they treat their water was a lot better versus just, I'm just going to dump a bunch of chemicals in this so that it's drinkable.
Yeah. So water quality, I don't have a study to point anyone to, because I mean, we could just go over hydration, but I think we all know that's important. But water quality, the exact question is, how much stock, if any, do I put into the type or quality of water you drink? And for me, it's a lot, because I drink almost exclusively water. And so I want to know it's like the largest thing I consume per day, even probably per pound per kilogram. That's what I'm consuming. So I want it to be as clean as possible. So cool thing about my current house. So one, yes, I do have a Berkey water filter. I've used Berkey water filters for like the last 5 or 6 years. And we still use it. So you can go, I don't even know, maybe it's like called berkeyfilters.com. You can check it out. It filters basically everything known to man. But this house has a whole home water filtration system. So it has it has a bunch of filters that all the water. So even my toilet water is filtered right now, because it's a whole home water filtration system.
Yeah.
It has like 4-stage filter, and then a UV light at the end that you mentioned. So we are kind of freaks about it, if you will, and that's just because, like I said, we drink a lot of water. But I think what everyone should probably do is look at your city Like pull up your city's water system, because they're obligated to publish some sort of annual report somewhere, and then you can look into what chemicals they have in there, because there are allowable amounts of certain stuff in your water, chemicals, and a lot of these chemicals are not good for you. And so you might want to look into, you could just start Googling one at a time. So you could pull up, get the water report from your city, and then if it's like, okay, this was within normal limits or whatever, that doesn't mean it's okay to me. That means it's still in my water, but some government agency, the EPA or whatever, was like, it's probably fine. And, some sort of parts per million. And so you can look at each one of those. And Emily and I did this, and we were kind of Googling like one by one. And it was like carcinogen, bad for you, causes cancer, like all this crap. And we're like, oh, that seems kind of crazy. There's just, I can't even name one singular thing because there's so many different things. There's like PFOAs, chloramines or chlorine, those can be in excess depending on where you're at. And then you could just go down the rabbit hole of all the things that end up even in your treated water. Is it that big of a deal? Now, here's where I go to, like, is it really that big of a deal? I mean, if you just Googled like water quality in the United States of America, you'll probably find some pretty serious issues. And these things always come out after the fact. Whatever, was it Michigan a few years ago where they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, sorry, there was a shit ton of lead in the water. And a lot of you will probably end up having serious health problems because of that. So if you think that the government's just taking care of you, that's a strong a strong vote of confidence there to put all your stock on them just being okay with the water quality. So I think that everyone should do something, but here's how I look at it. Because if you're looking at whole home water filtration system and a Berkey like I have, you're between the installation, the cost of everything, you're thousands of dollars into this stuff. And this is not what I'm recommending for people getting started, but I think that everyone should be doing something. Like Joe mentioned, Brita, great. That filters out a lot of the bad stuff that you want. You don't have to have these like ridiculously amazing water filtration systems. And the way I look at it is a Berkey cost a couple $100 several years ago. We have to replace the filters. But, I look at a kind of like an ROI. Like, okay, I have to spend a couple $100. And I'm not saying that's a small amount of money, but it's versus my family's health potentially. And so then that becomes a non-existent cost to me. So when I'm looking at my family's health, because I prioritize health so high on my hierarchy of crap I spend my money on, my family's health is going to be at the very top. So that's the way I look at these things. And that's why I have such a high threshold for stuff. There's some things like I absolutely wouldn't spend my money on. I think it's silly that other people spend their money on. But when it comes to something like that, I'm like, okay, a couple $100 and my kids aren't drinking lead and all this other crap that could end up in our water. Cool. I'm definitely going to do it. But that's just kind of how I look at it. I don't look at it from a scientific standpoint. I don't trust our current water treatment plan. Like, it's awesome. Like, I'm glad that we can turn old water into good usable water. That's an awesome thing, but it's a kind of aggressive, some of the chemicals they use, and I'm not necessarily looking to put any of those in my body. So short answer, I put a lot of stock into the type or quality of water I drink.
Yeah, if you've ever read a nutrition book that talks about standards of nutrition, that's what's allowed to be eaten, consumed, because basically it's not going to kill you right away. But basically the same standards that it is for nutrition, how it's not very good, that all of these things are allowed to be put in your food and everything like that. It's basically the same with water.
Yeah, exactly. Like you nailed it. You can, all these things are, and like I said, they find out after the fact, like trans fat, right? Like they phased out trans fat because they like, oh, that might be really bad. We were okay with trans fat for like decades. They're like, it's fine. But then all of a sudden they're like, no, this might be bad. So that's why you really have to take your health into your own hands with all of this stuff. So I think, to go one step further, I put a lot of stock into almost everything. Like, we have air filters in our house, and we have a water filtration system and all this stuff. Like, I think all of these things matter for your overall health. You don't have to the only time I find these things problematic is if you're becoming a freak about it. Like, I look at when I'm at home, I'm kind of in like my fortress of the food is good, the water's good, air is clean, all that good stuff. But if I travel and I have to have like a water from a water fountain, I don't really care. You know, I'm not like, I don't have like anxiety about it. I just do the best I can when I'm home, and then when I'm out, it's just I figure my body has some level of resilience beyond that. So that's kind of how I look at things.
That's kind of how we do with nutrition anyway. You know, when you're in your controlled environment, you stay, 95, 100%. So then when you're out of it, it's no big deal. You don't need to really worry about much.
Yep. So yeah, great question, Trampus. And anyone out there, you got some resources to look at. If you guys have any questions about anything else, hit me up. I'll tell you. And brands and stuff. I will
say Agua La Vista.
That was a good one. That was well timed. All right. That is it for this AMA. If you have a question, go to garagegymathlete.com/AMA and we will get your question answered. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a comment, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. And I think that's about it. Yeah. Well, thanks for watching or listening, and we'll catch you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed today's Ask Me Anything episode. So one more time, if you want to submit a question, topic, or idea, you can do so at garagegymathlete.com/AMA. And hey, while you're there, if you haven't already, sign up for Garage Gym Athlete membership. We are the best community and programming on the internet. I dare you to try and prove me wrong.